everybody. I am on Learning Packet 2, Day 8, or Week 2, Day 3, however you want to look at that. And it's all about bar graphs, the first math page, all about bar graphs. And it's just to remind you that bar graphs can be used to display and compare information. The bar graph below shows the results of a science experiment to find the best plant foods. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the bar graph and read the title, Plant Food Comparisons. We're going to read the labels along the side. Going up this way, we have the plant growth in centimeters. And going across the bottom, we have the different plant foods. Plant food A, B, C, D, and E. The first question asks, how much did the plant that received food B grow? So I'm going to find food B, and I'm going to follow that all the way up. And then I'm going to go across, and I notice that it stops right between the 60 and the 70. So I've got to ask myself, what number is right between 60 and 70, halfway between? What number is that? If you said 65, you're right. So it grew 65 centimeters. The next question asks, which two plant foods produced the same growth? So right now what I'm looking at is my plant food bars, and I'm trying to find two that are the same. Two bars that are the same height. And if I look carefully, I notice that A and D, stop in the same place. They both stop at the 30. So they produce the same height. Plant food A and plant food D produce the same height or the same growth in their plants. Number 3, how much more did the plant that received food C grow than the plant that received food A? I'm going to go ahead and highlight some of our information here. First things first, how much more? How much more? These words together are subtraction words. We're looking at the bar for food C, and we're looking at the bar for food A. When you see the words how much more, you are subtracting. So let's go up and find how much the food C plants grew. There we go. Come all the way up. That's between the 80 and the 90. So 85. And the A goes to the 30. So what I need to do is I need to set myself up a subtraction problem, starting with the biggest number on top. The C bar goes all the way up to 85, and the A bar goes to 30, and I need to take those two numbers and subtract them, because when you're asked how much more, how much less, how many more, how many fewer, these are trying to find the difference between two numbers, and finding the difference between two numbers means you're subtracting. So we're going to start in the ones place with 5 minus 0. Go ahead and write that down. And then do the tens place. 8 minus 3. And once you have your answer, make sure to put it here for number 3 in centimeters. So whatever your answer is, it's going to be that many centimeters. So go ahead and do that math on your own. Number 4, how much did the plant that received food E grow? All right, so let's go look at food E. And we go up, we go over, and it's stopping right between the 40 and the 50. And what's halfway between 40 and 50? If you said 45, you're right. And remember, we're going to put it as 45 centimeters. 45 centimeters. The next question asks, which two plant foods produced 110 centimeters of growth altogether? So let's highlight some information here to help us understand. First of all, I'm looking for two plant foods that produced 110 centimeters of growth altogether. Altogether is one of those words we use when we add. So what I'm trying to figure out is which two plant foods add up to 110 centimeters of growth. So if I come back up here, I think it's kind of helpful if I just write down their numbers, not there, but here, like this. Plant food A produced 30 centimeters because it stops at the 30. B stops at the 65. So I'm going to go ahead and write that here. I want to look at some numbers to help me out here. C looks like it stops at 85. D stops in the same place A does, so it stops at the 30. And E stops at the 45, so I'm going to put those in. And I need to take two of these numbers and figure out if they will add up to 110. So let's say I take the 30 and I add it to the 65 just to see what I get. Let's test it. 0 plus 5, that's going to give me a 5 in the ones place. 3 plus 6 is going to give me a 9 in the tens place. Those will not add up to 110. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and see if, I know that 30 and 65 basically don't add up to enough. What happens if I take the 65 and go ahead and put that back? And let's try a bigger number. Let's see what happens if I stick 85 there. Go a little bit bigger since I know my answer just wasn't enough. We'll erase what I've got here and we'll try adding those two. Let's try it. Let's go with 0 plus 5, and that gives me a 5. And I can already tell it's going to be wrong, and here's why. The number I'm trying to make is 110. It ends with a 0. There's a 0 in the ones place. Well, I'm already wrong because I have a 5 in the ones place. So this won't do. I'm looking for something that will give me a 0 in the ones place. So didn't mean to erase it all, but that's all right. We're going to go ahead and put the 30 back here and the 85 back here. And I'm going to look really carefully at these numbers now. I'm going to see if I can't find two numbers that would add up to make a 0 in the ones place. When I added the 30 and the 65, 0 ones and 5 ones made 5 ones. When I added the 30 and the 85, the ones place was a 0 plus 5, and that made 5. If I add up 30 and 45, I'm going to get the same thing. I'm going to have a 0 in the ones place here. I'm going to have a 5 in the ones place here, and those are going to add up to a 5 in the ones place. So I don't think I want to add A and E. But what if I added two 5s together? Two 5s would make a 10. And 10 has a 0 in it. Here's what I mean. Let's take the 65. Let's take the 85. And let's go ahead and add them together. When I do that, 5 plus 5 is 10. That means I put the 0 down and the 1 up here. Hey, I have a 0 in my ones place exactly like I want. Now I'm going to add up my 10s. 8 plus 6, that's 14, plus 1 more, exactly 15. Okay, that's a little bit too big. 150 is bigger than I want. I want 110, which means that we need to try again. Let's put the 65 back here. And let's see if I keep the 85 here. If I put a 30 there, then I'm going to be stuck again with 0 plus 5 makes 5. I don't want the 30 there. You guys see another number that I could use? If you said 45, You're right. Let's try it out. Let's see what we get. Now I've got 5 plus 5. There we go. 5 plus 5, that makes 10. There we go. 0 down. 1 up. 8 plus 4, 12. Plus 1 more, 13. Too big. We're looking for something that equals 110. So this one's too big. Have you guys seen anything else I can add together that might give us what we're looking for? Definitely having 5s in the 1s place worked really well. Can you see anything else we could add together? Something we haven't done yet? Let me give you a hint. Rounding helps a lot here too. I know that 65 is close to 70. I know that 85 is close to 90. And if I did 70 plus 45 is close to 50, 70 and 50, that would be 120. That seems to be getting a little bit closer. Let's try it out. Let's take our 65. I haven't done these two numbers together yet. I definitely want to keep 5s in the 1s place so I can end up with a 10. Let's try this out. 5 plus 5 is 10. 0 down, 1 up. 6 and 4 make 10, plus 1 more makes 11. There we go. What I'm using here is called trial and error, which means I try it, and if I mess up, I try it again until I get it right. And it is one of the strategies you can use in a situation like this, trial and error. So 65 and 45 worked, which means plant food B and plant food E add up to 110. So that's what we're going to go ahead and write here. Which two plant foods produced 110 centimeters of growth? Plant food B and plant food E. Those were the two. And the final question asks, how much more did the plant that received food B grow than the plant that received food D? And again, I've got the words how much more. When you see those words, you're trying to find the difference between food B and food D. So food B and food D, how much more means I'm going to subtract them. So let's look at food B, which was 65. Let's move that back so you can see it. Food B was 65. We'll put this back in its place. And our other food, D, was 30. So I need to do B and D subtracted. And when I do that, I need to put the biggest number on top. So 65 on top minus plant food D, which is 30. And then we're going to do some subtraction. I'm going to let you do the math on your own here. You have 5 minus 0, and then 6 minus 3. There's no regrouping required. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and do that math on your own. Don't forget when you write your answer to write the answer in centimeters. Okay, hopefully that answered your questions. Let me know if you have any more questions by posting a comment in Google Classroom.